Hey there guys, Coach Brandon here, and today I'm going to show you guys the curriculum for our December week 3 curriculum, which is hook sweeps again, but this time done from a supine position. Last week we were looking at hook sweeps done from a seated position. Let's do a quick recap on that. We remember that we need to establish grips, usually one hand on the torso and one hand on the post hand. Our favorite being an over the back belt grip and a grip on the post hand. So we set our grips. Now, the reason hook sweeps are typically done from a seated position is because they allow me to impart body weight and momentum into the off balance. When I'm in a seated position, I have the benefit of being able to throw my body to the floor to generate momentum and extra pulling power to force ant up into that off-balance position. And then from that off-balance position, just again as a quick recap, we had 3 options. I could either reverse shrimp and push him over. I could use a drive leg where I build myself up to a knee. Or I could go in and find the foot and do a foot sweep finish. So if you guys remember all those details from last week, awesome. Now we're going to look at a situation this week where I'm in butterfly guard and I have an opponent on top who plays a pressure game, and he drives into me and forces me back flat to my back, and now it's going to be harder to do hook sweeps. You'll have a lot of people who say you can't do hook sweeps from here. It's harder, but it can be done. Okay, you just have to know what you're doing. So we're going to cover a few different options from this position. We're going to cover a forward shift option, a straight knee pull option, just a knee pull, so a forward shift, a knee pull, and we're going to look at an arm trap variation of the hook sweep from this position as well. From then we'll look at using our legs to create leg frames, either with an X frame or an A frame, and those are going to be the content of this week's curriculum. So from here we use either a forward shift, a strong knee pull, an arm trap, an X frame, or an A frame. Okay? Let me get centered a little bit more here, Ant, and I'll get into the techniques. Right here, okay. So I'm playing butterfly guard. I'd love nothing more than to set up my hook sweeps. But as I go to set my grips for the hook sweeps that we learned last week, Ant bullies himself in and he flattens me out. And now I've got to work from here. The first option that we can do from here is simply a forward shift. The forward shift will allow me to return to a seated position from where I can once again impart my body weight and momentum to go into a hook sweep. One of the values of this position, of setting up our hook sweeps from this position, is that the over the back belt grip, our favorite grip for hook sweeps, is so easy to get. He's burying his head in me, he's trying to pin me down so I can't move, and eventually he would like to take an elbow inside my knee, flatten the leg and step over to half guard, and then start to control my head from here and pass, and flatten from here and pass. Yes. So that's typically what he's looking to do from here. There are other methods of passing from this position, but that's one of the most common. So because his head is down so low, and he's controlling my hips, because the head is low, it's easy for me to move the head out of my way. If the head's right in my way, I struggle to sit up and reach. So I shove the head to the side, I sit up, and I get my over the back belt grip, our favorite grip for hook sweeps. My second hand controls the post. Now here, since I can't effectively get a good grip on the cuff, the way we were last week, I'm going to use a different method to control the post hand. I'm going to control his elbow with my hand, so he can't base with his elbow, and I'm going to control his wrist with my elbow, so he can't base with his wrist. So it's hand to elbow and elbow to hand. Wrist to elbow, elbow to wrist. Okay? My hand covers his elbow, my elbow covers his hand. Now from here we're going to engage in a forward shift. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to very quickly pull my knees to my chest and give a pull with the belt And watch what happens to Ant's legs and knees. Do you see how they become light and they start to get pulled up off the floor? That's what we want. Once I get his knees and legs light, and I get his legs off the floor, I'm going to extend my legs along the mat. I'm not going to extend them up in the air for this one. I'm going to pull in with a knee pull and then extend my legs low and long to the floor. And watch that can help me return to a seated position. And I come back to a seated position. Now from here I have the arm well bound up with my hand on the elbow and my elbow on his hand. And you guys remember the stuff from last week, right? I'm going to look where I want to throw him, up near that 11 o'clock or 10:30 section of the clock face in this direction, not straight sideways, but up over here. I force his head to the floor, and I get him up into this good finishing position. Now from here, you can finish with either a reverse shrimp, a drive leg, or a foot sweep. That's up to you. Here, I'll use a drive leg. So that's one good option for a hook sweep from a supine position, is to use a forward shift to return to a seated position. And then once we're in a seated position, you guys know the deal from there. Let me cover that one more time. I'm playing butterfly guard and Ant flattens me out, and we're stuck here. I move the head out of the way, I get my over the back belt grip. So I have my torso grip. Now I need to establish my post grip. I take my elbow over his wrist, and I take my hand over his elbow. So now if he wants to base with his left hand, it's going to be hard. Now it's time to return to a seated position with a forward shift. Once again, I'm going to pull my knees to my chest until his knees get light, and once his legs and hips get light, then I extend my legs low along the floor. And I return to a seated position. Now from here, we're ready to complete our hook sweep. Without Ant on top of me once, it's going to look like this, that forward shift. I pull my knees to my chest, and I try to get him elevated a little bit. Look how I gave my core so that my hips get pulled off the floor as well. That's what I'm looking for. Once I get his hips and legs off the floor, I extend my legs low along the mat, and his body weight, the weight of his hips, over my feet, falling over my ankles, helps me rock up to a seated position. And now we finish the hook sweep from here. Another option we have from the supine butterfly guard is to just use a strong knee pull, and that can also be incredibly effective. Once again, I'm working a butterfly guard, and Ant forces me back to my back over here. I'm once again going to move the head and find that belt grip. I'm once again going to take my grip. Elbow over the hand, hand over the elbow. Now from here, I'm just going to engage in a strong, sustained knee pull over time. Rather than doing an initial knee pull and then extending, like we did last time, to come to a seated position, when I knee pull, I'm going to keep knee pulling, and I'm going to keep elevating with my feet, and I'm going to give a good, continuous, sustained pull on the belt. So Ant sinks his weight back and away, I pull, and I eventually get his weight up and over me. One more time. So from here, he flattens me out. I'm here. Now again, I'm going to lock my two shoelaces, my two hooks, into his thighs. From here, I'm going to pull my knees to my chest as I elevate my feet. And base out with your feet. Try to get base out with your feet like we did before. So I'm going to be here. I get a good, strong, sustained pull, and I force Ant up into this position. Look at how I forced his head to the mat again, just like we did before. Now from here, I'm going to drop my right foot and decide if I want to use a drive leg, a foot sweep, or a reverse shrimp. So that's just a good strong knee pull to overcome my opponent's pressure from the butterfly. I'll show that one more time. He flattens me out. I reach up and I get our favorite grip for hook sweeps. Over the back belt grip. I control the post hand. Elbow to wrist, wrist to elbow. Now from here, I have to make good, strong hooks. You guys can't see it right now. Can you posture up? I'm really digging my hooks, pulling my toes back to my shins, and I'm really trying to hook his thighs right in here, so I have a good lifting force. Okay? So I lock those hooks in. And now, even as Ant sits his weight on his heels, I'm going to give a good strong pull of the belt, a good strong pull with my knees to my chest. I'm going to try to force Ant up into this position. Now that time, if you meet more resistance, you may take one foot to the floor to help elevate. So what I did there, my left leg continued to elevate, but when I realized that he was too heavy to elevate without having my hips reinforced, I put a drive leg down on the floor. So as Ant sinks his weight to his heels again, I go to elevate, and now I can take my right foot to the floor, and I can continue to drive off my right leg, just like we did with a post leg. And now that I have my drive leg in place, I continue to drive, and I take him up and over. So that is our knee pull option. So we've seen a forward shift and a knee pull. Next, let's look at an arm trap, where I trap his arm on the other side of the body using a cross cuff grip, and I sweep him in the opposite direction, once again using that good strong knee pull that we just saw. I'm going to switch positions for this one because we sweep to the opposite direction. So I'm here, Ant flattens me out. Now from here, rather than starting with my belt grip, I'm first going to go and find a cross cuff grip. Okay? I'm going to reach across, grab either a cross cuff here, or if I can't, I might go and grab an initial wrist grip first and push the wrist up and feed to a cross cuff grip. Once I have that cross cuff grip, I'm going to reach up and I'm going to grab as high up as I can. If you can get the belt grip, congratulations. That's great. If you're long in the arms, you can reach the belt from this grip, that's awesome. I oftentimes find that because I have more in my way now, because I'm controlling his hand between me and his body, I oftentimes can't get all the way to the belt grip, but that's fine. Just get as low as you can. Sometimes settling for just a flap of cloth midway down the back is good enough. Now, just like I showed you before, we're going to use a good strong knee pull. I lock my two hooks in, I pull my knees to my chest, except this time, I'm going to sweep them and pull in this direction. Every other time, the torso arm ended up being the top arm, and I fell in this direction. But because I'm controlling this hand now with a cross cuff grip, I'm going to be taking him over in this direction toward the camera. So I'm here, and I'm going to use these grips to pull everything up. I take him up and over, and I drop him. Now I come up to a seated position with a leg pendulum. You lower your legs. Just flatten your legs. Now after I dump him, my two legs throw to the mat to create a leg pendulum effect to help me come up and win the fight for top position. One more time. Playing butterfly guard and flattens me out. So from here, we've seen I can use a forward shift and I can use a good strong knee pull, but now we're going to use an arm trap on one side of the body. Right. Go over here and I control the cross cuff. I reach up, I grab as far down the back as I can. If you can get the belt, awesome. If not, that's okay. Now from here, just like we did last time, I'm going to do a good strong knee pull. I flex my toes, so I make good sticky hooks into the thighs. I pull my knees to my chest, and as I do so, this grip on the belt, on the back, is a good, strong, healthy pull. And I use my core muscles to pull my hips off the floor, and everything comes up like so. Now from here, I continue to turn to my left. As I dump them, I leg pendulum up, and I take top position. So that's our arm trap variation. Okay, so we've seen forward shift. We've seen the knee pull. We've seen the arm trap with the knee pull. Now, let's look at starting to use our legs to try to get his weight off of us and get to a good, strong attacking position where we can finish the sweep from. I'm going to show you guys an X frame with my legs, where my two legs make an X around one of his thighs, and an A frame, which is really more of a half butterfly guard, where I have one leg curling behind his knee, and the other one is a butterfly hook. So let's get to these. So from either a supine guard, like a supine butterfly, Otherwise, this also works. For instance, in a hook sweep situation, where I try to sweep him, and as I go to my side, he bases out and he centers up to me. So he walks to his right, and he puts me more or less flat on my back. Yes, this is also a very good time to use the X frame and the A frames. So the problem here is that I need to be on my side to finish the sweep, but he's forced me flat to my back. Let's rotate angles on this ant. It'll be easier for them to see from this angle. Okay, so I go through, I try to get my hook sweep, and I try to throw myself down my side, and the ant's going to force me back flat here. So now I need to get to an angle. It's just a bit. Now I need to get to an angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right leg, and I'm going to hook across, and I'm going to make an X with my 2 feet on this leg here. And what this will allow me to do, this leg that's hooking on the outside, will allow me to push him up and away, and it will allow me to start to throw him off to the side. So even as ant keeps his weight over me, tries to stay flat to me, I can use this X frame to start to throw ant's body weight to one side. Same thing before you go. Keep basing on that left foot. So I get here, I have the grip, I come through with my X frame, but I'm not on my side for the sweep. But I can use this X frame to push and get on my side. So as I push and get on my side, ant's gonna hop and hop and hop, and now we're right back to our same position. I can finish with either a reverse shrimp, I can finish with a drive leg, or I can finish with a foot sweep action. That same thing can work, it's a little harder, but it can work from a supine bar. So let's say I'm here, he flattens me out, and I start to get my grips. If, in the course of maybe let's say a forward shift attempt, I make a little bit of space but not enough to sit all the way up, I can take my foot through and I can make that same X frame here. And now as ant tries to bully me down and put me back down, I can use my X frame, hips low again, I can use this X frame to sort of push that leg and hip away from me. And now, since I'm flat on my back, I know this won't work, so even as ant tries to keep me flat on my back, I use this X frame to force his leg and hip out to the side, and that's hard for him to stop. And now that I'm here, now we can finish in whichever way you want to finish. Either a drive leg, a reverse shrimp, or the foot sweep. So that's an X frame. Next, we're going to talk about the idea of an A frame. The X frame gives me a very good ability to push, and can you just kind of, right here. This gives me a good ability to push, but it doesn't really give me an ability to pull. Okay? Even if I try to hook my feet here, that's pretty weak. If I try to pull, I'm not going to be able to move them at all. So the X frame is awesome for pushing, terrible for pulling. The A frame, however, where coming like so, is good for both pushing and pulling. If you were to try to put his weight on top of me, I can use my right leg, my shin that's in the hip, to push and create a pushing frame. If he tries to pull away from me, my left leg back heeling at the back of his knee, if you were to try to step that leg away or pull back away, this is a good pulling grip as well. So this A frame, where I'm through and I hook behind his knee, so it's like a half guard, and this butterfly hook comes in and I stand on my own knee here. So we make a letter A, or a triangle, hence the name A frame. We have an A frame here and an X frame here, where I use the X to push. Right now we're working the A. So the A, this is good for pushing because he can't come into me. I can push him away with this that's in front of him, and I can pull him closer to me with this leg that's behind him. So here we have, in an X frame, I have two legs in front of him. Both are very good for pushing. In an A frame, I have one leg in front and one leg behind. The leg that's in front can push, and the leg that's behind can pull. So I have a good ability to both push and pull with an A frame. And we can use that same theory. Let's work this side again. Sorry, since I've been on that leg. So let's say a situation where I try to sweep him and he once again tries to force me flat. I'm here, I go to sweep, he's forcing me flat. I can take an A-frame here, standing on my own knee. And now as he tries to force me flat, I can use my left knee and my left shin to push and get him out of balance. And now I can finish with whichever finish I think is appropriate. Drive leg, reverse shrimp, or foot sweep. Okay? Alternatively, if we are in a flattened out situation here, I get an over the back belt grip. I try to do my forward shift, I'm only kind of making it work. I can punch my right leg all the way through and make a hook in the back of the knee. And now as Ant tries to flatten me out, put weight on me, heavy as you can, I can use this A-frame to really start to turn and off balance him. He's going to pop up to his foot for base. And now continue to go and get my finish. So that's our A-frame. So that's how we can use our legs against an opponent who's trying to push into us and keep us flat and drive down into us. We use either the X-frame to push or the A-frame for a combination of push and pull to get his weight off of us, to move his weight out to the side so I can move myself once again from a flat in my back position where I'm very ineffective. And I can use my frames to push and take him out to the side where I'm once again on my side, and once I'm on my side I can go into my finishes once again. So, real quick recap. I think we covered 5 great options from the supine position to finish hook sweeps. Again, most people out there will tell you that hook sweeps cannot be done from a supine position. Generally they're right, but if you know a few good tricks, you can still make them work from this situation. What were those 5? The first one we covered was a forward shift. Go right back to a seated position. Use that action of a knee pull and an extension to come back to a seated position. The second one was a knee pull. From here, sometimes I can just give a good strong knee pull, pull, elevate, turn, and that will be enough to get their hips up, get their head low, and force them into that off-balanced tripod position. Thirdly, we looked at the notion of an arm trap, where I use, rather than a straight cuff grip or a straight arm cover going elbow to wrist and wrist to elbow, rather than controlling that arm, we control the other arm. We reach across, we get a cross cuff grip, and then we sweep them in the other direction. Number 4, we looked at the idea of an X-frame, where I use my 2 legs crossed together to push against his leg and hip, so I can go from a situation where I'm flat on my back, and I can use this reverse X-frame to push out and then turn over to the side, so I can once again get to my side where I need to be. Hook sweeps don't usually work very well when you're flat on your back. You want to be up on your side as much as possible, and that's what this X-frame does. The X-frame helps you move from a situation where you're trying to sweep and he flattens you out, and it allows you to hook that leg and move yourself back to a position on your side. And then lastly, we saw the A-frame, which does very similar things to the X-frame. It allows me to move from a situation where I'm on my back. It allows me to kind of push and pull until I can get myself out to my side. Once I'm on my side, I can complete either drive leg, reverse shrimp, or foot sweep. So I hope that's a lot of good information for you guys to chew on this week. Once again, quick review. 5 great ways to sweep an opponent from butterfly guard, even when you're supine. We had a forward shift to return to a seated position. We had strong, sustained knee pulls to help us get breakthroughs over time. We had an arm trap with the cross cuff and hook sweeping in the opposite direction. We had an X-frame to help us move from flat on our back to on our side. And we had an A-frame to help us do the same thing, move from flat on our back onto our side, and into a good sweeping position. So hopefully after last week's lesson of hook sweeps from a seated position, and this week's lesson of hook sweeps from a supine position, hopefully you guys are going to be well enough equipped to go out there and start hook sweeping people all over the mat. Thanks guys.